Hello. Oh my gosh, I haven't done a sit down video in a while. I haven't even attempted to do one in a while. I've been going through a lot of changes. Um, and I really just wanted to do this video to kind of catch you up on my life. You're like, girl, no one asked for that. It's okay though. Um, Yeah, I just feel like I don't want to quit this creative outlet that I've already started doing. It can be really intimidating to continue to pursue something without really seeing the results yet. Not only intimidating, but also frustrating and annoying. But my perspective on that has really shifted, and I wanted to talk about a couple things. I wanted to talk about how different my life is ever since I kind of moved to Chicago and I started taking care of myself a little bit better, and getting on ADHD medication, getting on antidepressants, yeah, just kind of getting it together a little bit. And I've also started reading more, and I'm not super into like self-help books. I've read some here and there. I've read The Four Agreements. I've read um Alchemist. I've read a couple popular ones. But this one, it's called Big Magic. It's called Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear. And it's by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she's actually the same author who wrote Eat, Pray, Love. That's her most popular one. I haven't read that book. I actually haven't even seen the movie. So yeah, anyway. So I think it's kind of funny that this is the first book of hers that I'm reading. But who recommended it to me? Miss Olivia Rodrigo. Or not saw, I think I read, like she said in an interview, or it was a video actually. She had said something like, I read this book and it's really what gave me the push to finish and put out her first album. And if you're a fan of Miss Olivia, you know that album broke records. It's I love it. Like I think it's a masterpiece, but anyway. So when I read that, I was like, okay, like I kind of want to read the book. Like I kind of want to know like cuz like she is very vulnerable in that album. Like she's very vulnerable. She's very like you can tell kind of her age in the album, because that's what she talks about is her struggles in that age. And um yeah. So I was very curious, and it had been on my list for a long time. And how far am I? I'm almost done. Well, I would say like, yeah, I got like a third of it left. Um, I understand. I understand how this book gave her not only like motivation, but kind of like it kind of gives you some clarity, kind of shifts your perspective on a lot of things. Um, so first and foremost, she is a writer, obviously, and she always had that passion. And she said something that is really sticking with me. Like I think is like a core value of mine now. She said, when you want to live creatively, you want to create, you want to do something that's actually like not really necessary to our society, something that's fun, something, we are lucky to be in a country or to be in the position where our society is so developed and so what's the word? I guess free in a way where we can kind of dilly dally. We can make money off of being creative, off of having fun, off of just putting yourself out there and making something of yourself in your own unique way. And we have that privilege. And that's not where I was getting at. That's just something I kind of, picked up from her book. And she said that she met a lot of people who were writers and they basically had a similar outlook on it, which was if I don't create a bestseller, if I don't write a bestseller, if I go into writing and it's not the best and I think it's not gonna make money, it's not gonna blah blah blah, then like why even bother? Like why even put anything out? And she was just like in her head, like that is so the opposite of me because it's kind of like demanding creativity to pay your bills. Like the creativity that comes out of you, that flows out of you, that wants to naturally express itself, you're demanding that part to pay your bills. And you haven't even put any effort into being creative, which it doesn't really make sense because, first of all, you want to take care of that part of yourself. You want to explore that part of yourself. You want to nurture that part of yourself, and to demand that it make you money is kind of naive and childish, kind of I don't know. And she said something very specific. She said that this professor or someone told her the worst combination that you can be is a perfectionist and lazy. And that is so true. Like that's me. Like that is me. Like I'm not super lazy, but I would say that definitely the motivation is not there if I can't see the end result right away. And obviously that's not how the world works. And when she said that, I was just like, wow, like you kind of have some nerve to be a perfectionist yet lazy at your craft, like lazy to even put in the effort to ever be perfect, so you just don't even try. And she also said that perfectionist or like perfectionism is literally someone who's scared and terrified but just in a nice coat or something like that. So basically it seems like, oh, like I'm just a perfectionist, whatever, but you're not trying because you're a perfectionist, but it's more because you're afraid. You're scared that what you do won't be good enough. You're scared of your talent. You're scared of not being a failure, of believing the worst things about yourself that maybe you already believe, but because you don't even want to pursue it, it kind of gives you that ticket to avoid those feelings, and it gives you that ticket to kind of well, I'll never know. I'll never know if I'm actually good, or I'll never know if I would have failed at that because I never tried. And yeah, I think that's so true. And I think that's definitely how I've been living my life. And I'm being so serious when I say this life has, I mean, this book has actually changed my life. Um, and I think it's a perfect age for this book to change my life because I'm only 26. And I have so much more I want to do. That this was the perfect time for me to read this. Um, and it's pushed me to make this video, honestly. It just, okay, so another thing it talked about was how you kind of have to treat your creativity as an affair. So not like that, but like in a way where when people are having affairs and somehow, some way, they make the effort to, even if they have families, even if they have jobs, they somehow find a way to sleep together. Even if it's 15 minutes of like crazy passionate and then it's over, or even if it's a couple hours they get to see that person or whatever, they do it because obviously they're in love or whatever. But you kind of like think about if you did that like with creativity. Like if you just spent a 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, and that's not what she's encouraging to, oh, 15 minutes a day work on your creativity. No, just make it as important, make it where that 15 minutes will be enough for that day because you had that creative idea or thought and you put just 15 minutes into it, and you're going to still be satisfied with that 15 minutes or an hour or the weekend, like, because like we do have the time. Like we say we don't, but we do have the time to put that effort into our creative outlets. And anyway, so I thought that was also kind of funny. She's funny. She's a funny writer. Like some of the things she says is pretty funny. um so first thing that I mentioned was demanding your creativity to make you money. It's kind of it it's selfish. It's kind of it doesn't make sense when you think about it. Um Especially when you're not putting effort into your creativity. Anyway, and she also mentions don't quit your day job, literally, like don't quit your day job, because she didn't until she wrote 5 books, and I think that fifth one was Eat Pray Love. um and it just makes sense because when you quit everything to focus on your creative outlet, it just doesn't really make it that fun anymore. Like you're just so concerned with it paying your bills, with it being a success, with it being perfect, and it's kind of taking away the fun from it, and you're not really flowing creatively like you should, like you really want to. So yeah, another thing, don't quit your day job. And I really like that she said that because this is the real world, bro. Unless you have some type of trust fund or you have a bunch of savings or your parents can financially support you, like that is just not realistic to put 40 hours a week into your creative craft. If that's you, if you're lucky, that's cool. But like if you want to start being more creative and taking time to work at your creative abilities, like you gotta balance it. You gotta remember that this is the real world, and it's kind of good because then you're doing it for the reason that you want to, is because you want to have fun, you want to make something of your own. Yeah, you get where I'm going with that. Um, and there was another thing that she said that just popped into my head that I really liked. She said how these ideas that you have of being creative, like let's say you're walking in the park and you get an idea to write a certain book, which is another thing I'm going to talk about, which is really crazy because a spoiler, I started writing a book. I started writing a freaking book. That's how much this book has changed me. And I feel like I need to read this book at least once a year to remind myself because, dude, it's just really not that complicated. Like, it's really not. Like, we just make it into something because we're so scared. We're so scared of the end result. We're so scared of blah, 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 blah. But she said something, dude, my friggin' feet are falling asleep. She said something like, okay, so let's say you're walking in the park and you get an idea. You get an idea to write a certain book or an idea of like a TV show you want to write or just anything, a book, right? And that idea is not gonna stick around forever. So think of it as its own thing, right? This idea is kind of floating around in the universe, in the world, whatever you believe in. And when you have that idea knocking at your door and you don't answer it, um, most likely that idea is going to knock on someone else's door and someone's gonna open that door and someone's gonna and start working on that thing, that idea that you had. Maybe you had that 5 years ago and you see a show come out about what idea you had. Or she even said that a lot of people came up to her and were like, "You wrote the book that I was gonna write." And she's like, "What the heck?" Like, because this idea, it's real. Like it floats around and it knocks on your door if you want to listen, if you want to answer it. And if you decide not to, then that's okay. And you know what? She's also said sometimes when she gets ideas and she doesn't really like agree with them, she's like, I wouldn't want to write about that, or that's just not something I'm interested in. And then it's like, okay, you can also close the door on that idea. It's not like you have to say yes to every idea that comes knocking at your door. But I thought that was so interesting because I have that all the time and I have ideas that I guess quote unquote knock on my door and I've ignored them and they've come back and back knocking on my door like, oh, like you had this idea and that's why I started writing this book that I'm writing, which is like so crazy saying that out loud because I actually started writing two different books because it's just not that serious. It's really not that serious. I had an idea, I started writing, and it actually wasn't that hard. Um, because she also mentioned that a lot of the time, especially women, won't start something unless they think they are qualified. And a man is like completely the opposite, where a man will think they're 10% qualified for whatever it is, and then they'll do it. And she's like, I admire that quality about men, but I wish more women were like that because we need that, and especially young people. She said, something like if you wanted to write something and you were afraid that your writing skills aren't good or so and so and so, like all these things that come with, there are insecurities that come with being young, like feeling like you don't have the experience, feeling like you don't have the skill. Yeah, So she said that when you write at that age, it's like it's something like fresh. It's something that, guess what? Like, even if someone else had that idea, maybe they wrote it and they're 50 years old. So it's going to be from a completely different perspective. It's going to be a completely different book. Um, but we get to see your perspective and we get to see a 19-year-old's perspective or a 25-year-old's perspective or whatever because it's going to be different because it's you. Because it's you, it's at the age you're starting at, and it's gonna be fresh because it's something new and and I was just like, damn, like that is so true. Like, why not hear from a perspective of a 26-year-old? Yeah, maybe 20 years from now, I'm like, yeah, that kind of sounded a bit immature, a bit childish, or whatever that idea is. But that's just my truth at 26, and that's okay. And like literally who cares? So anyway, yeah, I started writing two books. And when I get the idea that I need to finish it or like just keep writing it, I do it. I just do it and I just start writing, and yesterday I wrote for like an hour. And then I had another idea for a different book while I was writing, and I wrote that idea down. I didn't start it, but I wrote the idea down because it knocked on my door and I might answer it. So, anyway, um yeah, so this book is pretty crazy. Pretty. I understand, Olivia. Like, this book really makes you feel like, why not? And also, she makes you feel like reminds you the reality of like the normal person situation and how, things are gonna take time and like I said, like even if it's like 10 minutes a day, it's still worth putting that time into your creativity. Um and making something of your own. But dang, I was gonna segue into something else she had mentioned. I could probably open up this book at any page, and there's something that I have highlighted or written about. Um, and okay, so this one, she says, or maybe you took a big risk in order to follow some creative dream and it didn't quite pay off. So now you have to work for the man for a while to save up money until it's time to go chase your next dream. That's fine too. Just do it. And it's like, oh, and then she goes, oh, and this is what I was talking about. But to yell at your creativity saying you must earn money for me is sort of like yelling at a cat. It has no idea what you're talking about, and all you're doing is scaring it away because you're. Okay, my camera cut off because I ran out of storage, so I just deleted like 1,000 pictures. Anyway, so that was actually a good way to cut the video because that quote was basically over. So I thought that was so funny because yeah, it's like yelling at a cat. It's kind of gonna look at you like that's not how it works. So, or who are you talking to like that? But anyway, um, yeah, I just felt I just had the idea to make this video and talk about this book because it's just really cool. And if you need something to kind of push you to start living more creatively, I highly recommend reading this book. I was gonna talk more about my life and updating you guys on like just everything. I started going on ADHD medication, antidepressants, and all that, and it's been really helping me. I think that's another thing that has even allowed me to focus more than 2 minutes on one thing. So, um, but anyway, maybe I could talk about that in a different video. But thank you for watching. I am gonna make more videos like this, so if you liked this one, you can subscribe if you want. So yeah, till next time.